Hi and welcome to the Awakening Energy channel. You may have seen that I have done some Kundalini integration meditations, and you may have seen my reactions and moving, and you might be wondering what this is all about. You might have heard of certain brands, CAP, or possibly even older ones, Reconnection. There are many different brands of what is basically Kundalini Activation. Now this channel, what I hope to do is be able to describe and help in ordinary language what all this is about. Because yes, there are other channels on YouTube and other places that talk about these things, but it's almost as though you need a degree in yogic philosophy to be able to understand them. So my aim with this channel is to talk about Kundalini Activation, Shaktipat, Shivapat, Pranapat, possibly even a bit of Reiki, put it all together, because unfortunately there's a lot of misinformation out there. There are people practicing these things which they've sort of been initiated as mediums of Shaktipat energy. I myself had an experience with some of these sort of mediums. It was, don't get me wrong, it was a great experience, but they took me to a state where my DMT was activated, and it was wonderful. I was sort of like, wow, floating up there. But they didn't have the knowledge to bring me down. And at the end of the session, I was still there, up high, DMT, great. And I said to them, hey, look, I'm still activated. And they were like, congratulations, have fun. But I had to go and get in a car and drive for half an hour. Now, luckily, I had the knowledge to, after the session, I went and sat in my car and I brought myself down. Had I not, it could have actually been quite dangerous to drive in that state. So there are a lot of people now, because this is becoming fashionable. It's very fashionable in some countries, in other countries it's only just starting. But I can also already see some warning signs of, you have to make sure the person facilitating this energy hasn't just done a quick course and knows how to facilitate the energy. They know how to control the situation, they know how to bring you down, they know how to take you up. For example, I've seen many sort of demonstration videos of this online where you can see the person is moving around crazy and the facilitator is more energy. These people are already highly activated. So you don't actually need to keep putting more energy in them. It needs to be able to absorb. They're just putting it more in, and it's almost a sort of, it sounds terrible to say it, and hopefully I'm wrong in this assumption, is that sort of like, oh, look at me, I'm controlling this person, it's sort of coming from ego, wow, I'm controlling them. Totally wrong. Right, Kundalini Activation, Kundalini Awakening. First of all, do you need a facilitator to be able to do it? No, you don't. Do you need a medium, a guru? No, there are different ways to do it. You can do it through meditation. Some people can it just activates naturally, sort of halfway through their life. That can be a good experience, a bad experience. Then there are other people that it's sort of just always been open. Now, if you look at the yogic texts, they will say there are certain levels of and types of different initiations, which is great, but basically there is, you initiate yourself or you're born with it, you seek help to be able to do it yourself, or you go to a guru. They're basically the three types. Anyone can do any of them. The difference is if you seek a medium or a guru, and mediums and gurus are two very different things. it can help cut down the time drastically of being able to do this. But what is it? What is Kundalini activation? It's if I go to one of these sessions with someone, is my Kundalini activated and blah, 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 blah. No. Sessions with facilitators will help start the process and will speed up the process. Some people say this is very dangerous. I've already said it can be, but it doesn't have to be. If you put yourself in the right hands, it can actually be far safer to do it with a medium or a facilitator or a guru than it is by yourself, because if you do suddenly open the Sushumna, which is the column in your back, and you get huge amounts of energy surging up, and this did actually happen to me one time, but luckily I had a group of people around me that were able to help me and bring me down. It still took about 4 hours to bring me down because it was a really strong connection. Had they not brought me down, and obviously it wasn't just them, I knew what I was doing, so I was there, but it was so powerful, I needed extra help to bring me down. Even then it took me, it must have been 4 or 5 hours to bring me down. Because if you do get this super open connection and boom, you can literally go into a trance state for days, if not weeks. And yes, I know people that have done that. If you're in the right place, you don't have to go anywhere. It can be great, and you can have the full experience of being days or weeks in this state of bliss. Brilliant, but most people these days can't do that. Anyway, I keep digressing. So what is this? Basically, it is putting you in contact with what people call the source. Then, it's opening you up layer by layer. If you want to say chakra by chakra, but it's more than that. It's stripping away all the psychological layers that have been put into you since birth, even down to, the very simple demands from the beginning. You're a boy, you're a girl, you're this, you're that, blah, blah, blah. And it's stripping away all that to the very basics, stripping away all your emotions, everything you've learned over your entire life, bring you back to the real essence of you. This is why Kundalini activation is not an easy process. It can be very challenging if you need to overcome some of these layers. However, it can be challenging. It is challenging. It's a long process. It doesn't happen in a couple of days. There is no magic pill, even with a facilitator or a guru, no matter what they say. And despite it being a challenging process, it is a very rewarding process because you get to be your true self. Yes, there are problems along the way. If you have a lot of ego, then you'll come into contact with the spiritual ego, which is even worse. You'll find people along the way that are partly open, that will tell you, it's all about being non-dualistic, but there's only one way to do it and every other way is wrong. Well, isn't that dualism in itself? There are many, many ways to do this. Everybody's process is different. If anybody says, this is the way and this can't be done, again, you have to question them and their knowledge because everybody is different. So this activation, you start on the level of prana, the level of chi, and you open this chi or pranic field, which is one translation of Kundalini, because Kundalini, everyone knows, the snake, the coil, blah, 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 blah. Okay, but they're actually, if you look at the ancient texts, there are many different translations of Kundalini, and one of them basically is your energy body, your astral body, if you were, and it's stimulating and coming into contact with that via prana. Prana, when it gets more powerful, it can be converted into Shakti, and when you are fully connected, it can be connected into Shiva. These are just names. We can call them prana, Shakti, Shiva. We can call them Qi, Shen and Wei, if we're looking at traditions from China or the Buddhist traditions. There are many names for these things. It can get very confusing, but it's basically the subtle energy. You are reconnecting to the subtle energy, and these energies are subtle. Many people can't feel them, and it's not a problem. Some people start to feel them and it grows, and other people never feel them, but they do get the benefit and they can see the changes if they're open to them. What do I mean by this? So people can go for sessions and they feel absolutely nothing, and then a couple of days later they suddenly start having lots of vivid dreams. So you might not have felt the energy whilst it was happening to you, but you start dreaming again, and possibly you haven't dreamt for years, and all of a sudden then, you know, it's a coincidence. Well, it's not a coincidence. It's a product of what you've done. So you will eventually, over time, feel the symptoms of it working, although you might not feel the actual energy in your body. Then there are other people, you might have seen these Kundalini Activation demo videos where they're all over the place and moving wildly, and there are other people talking in tongues and shouting and crying, and which is basically just the Kundalini or the Shakti or the pranic energy stimulating and clearing out their system. You will also see in these videos many yogic asana postures. You'll see mudras. These are spontaneous movements. People don't do them, it's just the energy putting them into the positions. This is because yoga is a copy of classic Tantra, nothing to do with what people think Tantra is today. And classical Tantra then comes from the original Shaktipat, etc. So you had Shaktipat, people doing these mudras, these hand positions, these asanas, these body postures, with a very secretive knowledge, other people observing them over years, and said, oh well, if that's the posture they're getting into, then if we practice this posture, we will be able to get to the same thing. And this is what yoga is all about, getting to these states through these postures. Okay, fair enough. I can put my hands like this for 30 years. I can concentrate on it for 30 years. And all I'm going to do is get strong arms and strong hands. However, if I know how to turn on the prana or the chi, I can, within a couple of minutes, create a chi ball with practice. And this is the difference between just practicing Hatha Yoga and connecting with the energies. This is Hatha Yoga. Do it all your life and not get anywhere. Some people can be lucky and they stumble upon it by accident. And then there are many videos. I'm not going to explain exactly how to do the chi ball, but then there's this, and you form the chi ball and you feel this magnetism between the hands, and you can grow it and you can play with it. And this is the difference. Sort of general Hatha Yoga, you know, the postures, doing them, all very healthy for you, all good stretching, all muscle building practice, brilliant. But it's not the subtle energies, and you can do yoga your whole life without getting to them. But it's over the history, the information's been lost. Do your research, find all this out. It's not just me making this stuff up. It has taken me over 25 years of investigation to understand all of this, yes, but this is the way. So very, very simply, this is now, was going to be a couple of minute video, we're now up to nearly 15 minutes. Kundalini activation is reconnecting yourself with the subtle energies. First the pranic energies, then the Shakti energies, clearing out the meridians. People talk the chakras, okay, you can talk the chakras. We can actually compare it more with the dantians, would be more accurate first before the chakras. The dantians again come from Qigong and Nei Gong. You can look up all these words that I'm saying. They're just different techniques coming from different places. And it's connecting your energy to the subtle energies to be able to get to your true self. Once you build up enough power, yes, there is a reaction that happens that is where your spine is. And this is where we start talking about the coil, the serpent going up your back. It is a column of energy that connects from your coccyx, from your root chakra, up to your head. When it happens, you can feel, you don't imagine, you don't visualize, you can feel this energy. It's a very strong form of energy. And it goes up your back. It can feel hot, it can feel cold, it can feel tingle, but it's a very, very definite energy. When this happens at the beginning, if you're not careful and you don't control this, it's when you can go into these trance states. As it happens, your body can be vibrating. You can see in my meditation videos of this, of my body moving crazily as it connects up, as I'm opening the channel more and more and more. This is why I created these videos, to show you, to give you an example of what it can look like whilst I'm doing this. This can be done, as I said, by yourself. This can be speeded up with facilitators, with mentors, with mediums, whatever you want to call them. I've done it both ways. As I said, I've practiced Reiki for, wow, well over 20 years. I've actually always been able to do energy work. My whole life I've been very closely connected to energies. I also went to a medium to become a facilitator of this. Despite being able to do it, I wanted to see what the difference was, whether there was a difference, what would happen, and wow, yes, I mean, there is a huge difference. Going to a facilitator, there is a huge, huge difference. I didn't go to the facilitator, you know, one of these. I tried to find someone from the source who had actually connected rather than trained. Because I'm already well connected, I needed someone that could answer the difficult questions for me. And most of them they did. It was very useful. And so, yes, it is becoming your real self. And yes, there is this column up your spine. And yes, when you get there and you're fully connected, your body is taken over by this energy, and you can literally be at a point where you're not breathing for a minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, until your system kicks in again and says, breathe. There are all these things going on. When you look at this and you see this, like, my God, this person's crazy. The funny thing is, unless you have a full-on connection where you can enter a trance state for several weeks, you are always in control. You see these demos of these people flying around, but if I sort of touch that person on the shoulder and say, hey, you okay? Most of the time they can turn and say, yeah, I'm fine. If they're deeper in trance, it might take a minute or two. But generally, you're still in full control despite having all these movements. It's very strange, because people compare it to like taking drugs and these, you know, shamanic trances, and well, it is very similar to a shamanic trance. However, you don't lose control. Even when I had this full-on experience, I was struggling to control it, but I could still have a conversation with people. I could still say, hey, I need some help. Can you come and help me over here? So it's not as out there as you think. It's, as I said, it's not taking plant medicine where you completely sort of lose control, as it were. Anyway, I hope this has been, I don't want to make this video any longer. I hope this has been a simple introduction to Kundalini Activation. If you have any questions on this, if you think I haven't answered this, or I need to answer something slightly more in depth, please put a question in the comments below. Please like the video, share it with people, subscribe to the channel, click that alert button for more. This is going to be a channel that over time I'm going to build. We're going to get deep into this I'm going to do more Shaktipat transmissions. Despite what some people say that Shaktipat can't be done online, it can't be done distance, it can. I've seen so many people do it. I've had the experience with so many people. I've sat with experienced mediums of this, all of us being mediums, and we've literally done distance, thousands of kilometers apart. We've done group circles, and then we've all literally had the same shared experience together. This is very real. It can be done over distance. So if you have any doubts about that, it's not real. It's what people say, the beliefs they have. You have to experience it. Now, of course, one person can go and do an online session. They're not very open to the subtle energies, and they say this doesn't work. Just as someone can go to a facilitator and experience nothing one time and they say this doesn't work. Well, that's just because they're not very connected to the subtle energies. If they practice with certain meditations, if they receive several sessions, they will get there. Also, if you wish to receive online sessions from me, have a look in the description below. You can find my email, you can get in contact with me, and we can do online sessions. I also have on Patreon set up a quick thing, so you can go into Patreon, we do sessions through Patreon, so you can receive regular sessions. It all depends on how you want to do it. Perhaps you only want one session, you don't want to do regular sessions. Well, just contact me and we can set up a regular online session. Anyway, I hope this video is now super long. I hope that has made this slightly simpler. I hope you're able to understand a little bit more what this is. Thank you very much, and I'll see you in the next video.